What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new edition of Touchdown Texas. I'm your host, Shiva Patel, and my co-host here, Nick Rodriguez. We are in Texas, Georgia week this Saturday night. Number 11 Texas against number 5 Georgia. Biggest game of the year. Nick, how you feeling, man?
Feeling great, man. We started at number 1. We were unranked for a while. We're climbing ourselves back towards the top 10. Meanwhile, Georgia's been pretty consistent. I saw it the other day that they were ranked 5th to start the year, and now they're still 5th. So love it. It was a lot of ways to get here, but here we are playing our best football, and we're going to get into this little preview against Texas versus Georgia, and it's been a doozy over the last year and a half. So I'm excited for it.
Definitely are. And in 1 hour, Tuesday night as we're recording, they're going to release the college football playoff ranking. So Texas may even be number 10 or 9.
True.
So it might be a top.
Go up.
Right. Yep. We're just talking about number 11 as the AP rankings right now. But again, be sure to follow us on our social media channels at touchdown_Texas and like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I will be there in Athens during the day before Texas, Georgia kicks off. So we'll be providing live coverage from the University of Georgia campus. So be sure to follow us on TikTok Live. We're going to be doing a live from there. But those of you that are new to us, me and Nick are based out of Atlanta. We know some Georgia fans here. So this is a special week for us.
Yeah, for sure.
But before we get into the game, let's talk about this Texas trajectory. So I want to bring us back to September. We had a bad loss to Florida on the road. We were questioning the direction this team is going. And then we faced number 6 Oklahoma, who we win. We barely escaped Kentucky, but we win. Mississippi State, we win. And then we beat a top 10 Vanderbilt team. Talk about the progression you've seen this team take in the last 5 weeks.
Man, crazy. Because there was a lot of up and downs, even in some of those games. But you can see, like, starting with Oklahoma, more consistent plays throughout the entire game. We even talked about on the podcast where it's just like, that was one of the first games all season where it was a pretty clean game throughout, and they were 6th at the time, right? And then we move into, Mississippi State, we move into Kentucky, where those definitely got really scary. But like we talked about, all you have to do is win those games, right? We wouldn't be 11th or maybe even ranked if we lose that game to Kentucky and almost gave it away. But at the end of the day, we came out of Kentucky, we came out of Lexington with a W, and that's all that matters. Mississippi State, I think, is the key game for me because that's the one where we're knocked down, we're not playing well. And again, I'll say this time and time again, they're a good SEC team, but not a team that we should be playing with. We shouldn't be playing with our food with that team because in the SEC, they will come and bite you, and they bit us until we bit back. And I think that was a real culture win for us because we ended up coming back. We beat them, crazy game, stole all the momentum. Then we go to Vanderbilt, or we don't go to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt comes to us, and we're finally at home, which I think is part of the struggles is that, we had offensive line issues, communication issues. We're on the road. It's going to be a raucous environment. Same thing about Athens. But, man, finally being at home, huge lead, really dominated the whole game. But they snuck their way back in. Part of that was the referees. Part of that was our play. But, man, we are playing the best football that we have played all season, right? It's been it took a while for us to get real confident about what we've got, but I think that something happened in that Mississippi State game where it clicked. Even I would say in that Kentucky game defensively, the OU game sparked something. This is getting, if we end up making a run here, going 1-2, 2-1, like some run as in the playoff, we're going to talk about that run and really about that comeback at Mississippi State. That saved us our season, and I think Arch deserves some praise because he was getting a lot of hate all season, and I think he deserves some praise now. I think it's time.
It's time, and I think other fan bases, you don't see the hate as much. I think they're getting a little nervous. They're getting nervous a little bit. I think they see him, man. He's still a Manning. He still has that bloodline and the pedigree.
Look him up.
Exactly. Thank you. Needed to be said. Facts. So what I'm most impressed with this team is they've epitomized the saying that Texas fans like to say, Texas fight.
Yep.
They showed multiple times this season they got punched in the face, but they've gotten back up and they responded. Kentucky, past Texas teams with Charlie Strong and Tom Herman would have lost to Kentucky.
Well, we'd be like, yeah. Yeah.
And then Mississippi State too. This team has a backbone. This team fights to the end, and they have a level of team cohesiveness that is hard to see around the country. We know the defense has been spectacular this season. Yes, they've had one or two off games, but that happened when you're playing a long season. What I've been most impressed with this run is the offense. Sark said he's by the offense. He has. Arch Manning has gone to a rhythm. They've really stoned teams to death with the screen passes. Let's see if the first player, they're going to throw a screen pass to Ryan Wingo because that was the first play of the game, or they're going to try a double move, fake screen.
I mean, two times against Mississippi State and against, I was going to say Georgia, but against Vanderbilt, we run basically two plays, 80 yards or whatever it is to score a touchdown. One of them he takes to the house, right? Doesn't he take it to the house against Vanderbilt?
He took the Vanderbilt one to the house. Against Mississippi State, he took it to like the 5-yard line.
And then Arch ran it in the next play. So
exactly. So
obviously Georgia's going to be looking out for that on play one because that's been our MO to start the game.
But I just love the direction. They're one of the hottest teams in the country. They're starting to play complementary football. They're trusting one another. Arch Manning is getting comfortable with his wide receivers because I saw something that the reason why it was a little rough between Arch and the wide receivers was in the spring, Arch Manning really only had Parker Livingston to throw the ball to. Ryan Wingo was out most of the spring. Our tight end, Jordan Washington, was out. Jack Endries didn't come. Emmett Mosley didn't transfer. He was out. Jack Endries didn't enroll until the summer. So that's why he was so comfortable with Parker Livingston because that was a guy that he was throwing to.
Yeah.
Also, I like that we're getting healthy. All our guys we should be able to get back. Jelani McDonald, Michael Taft, Ryan Wingo, Cole Hudson. All those guys are going to be back for Georgia, and I'm really excited for this game. Now let's get to this matchup now, but I want to start with the quarterbacks because I don't think people are talking about how big of a quarterback showdown this is going to be.
Yeah.
Gunnar Stockton against Arch Manning. I have the stats for you before I ask you this question. Gunnar Stockton is completing 69% of his passes, 22 total touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Arch Manning, 62% of his passes, 24 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Got to ask, Nick, who is the better quarterback right now?
Wow, you put him on the hot seat right away. I mean, it's hard not to say Arch, the way he's been balling the last few weeks. I'm going to go Gunnar. I'm going to go Gunnar right now just because he's played more football. Well, has he? I mean, not really. It's been about the same, really. So I'm going to slightly go Gunnar. Slight edge. He does have the higher completion. I mean, he does have the less, touchdowns. So if you're going safe, bet, don't screw anything up. That's typically Gunnar's MO where he can scramble. He's a good runner. But if you're going with the guy that would be scary, it'd be Arch, right? And you don't know what's going to be on lock because these are two different kind of defenses. We're going to get into defenses in a little bit, but I think Gunnar's played more consistent than Arch has throughout the entire season. I think he's a guy that can scare you with the deep ball. He can scare you with his legs. He is a tough guy. We know that as Texas fans, losing to him in the SEC championship game. I say this as a compliment to Gunnar and not as an excuse. I think if Carson Beck finishes that game, we win. And I've told Georgia fans,
I agree.
And they go, yeah. And I'm like, I'm not even saying that as a, you got away with one kind of thing. But this guy's tough, man. And we should have capitalized last year. And I think he's been a little bit more consistent. But if you want big time, who could explode more, I'm going to go Arch. So I'm kind of picking both. But I think overall, slight, I'm going Gunnar. But if someone's going to explode in this game, I think it's Arch Manning.
I agree with you. So I would go Gunnar too, but it's a lot closer than you would think. Arch Manning, college football fans that are non-Texas fans don't want to admit this, but Arch Manning's stats are right there with some of the best quarterbacks in the country.
Yeah.
I'll go on a little mini rant here, Nick, if you would allow me to.
Sure.
Texas A&M fans want to act like Marcel Reed is miles ahead of Arch. If you look at the stats, it is a lot closer than delusional Aggies fans would want to think. And they will find out on Black Friday. Okay, yes. enough about that. About Gunnar Stockton. He is one of my favorite quarterbacks that I've watched this season. I love his grit, his toughness. He just has a presence about him, a command about him. He was the reason they won that Tennessee game. That throw in the back of the end zone was amazing.
On fourth down, they had
on fourth down. He had 3 touchdowns against Trinidad Chambliss and Ole Miss. Ole Miss scored
another one.
5 straight possessions where they scored a touchdown. But what does Gunnar do? He throws for 4 touchdown passes and completely balls out in the fourth quarter for them to beat Trinidad Chambliss and Ole Miss. Even last week against Mississippi State, he had 3 touchdowns. So he has been really good. I think he's number 2 or 3 in the SEC behind Ty Simpson. And I think Arch Manning is 3rd or 4th, either him or Marcel. you could probably put Arch or Marcel Reed at number 3 or 4. They're probably interchangeable. But Arch Manning, Gunnar runs more than Arch, but Arch has the bigger arm. We know that.
Yep.
And Arch Manning has to play under more pressure than Gunnar Stockton has had to play. I saw a stat that Arch Manning has the most completed passes against pressure in the entire country and second most passing yards in the country under pressure. Against Vanderbilt, he was 15 of 19 against the pressure. So these people want to act like Arch Manning just folds like a lawn chair against pressure. They don't even watch Texas. They're just looking at the box score after the game. Arch Manning
he also doesn't allow 30 points either.
Exactly.
That's not him.
Arch Manning is one of the toughest dudes in the country. Gunnar Stockton is one of the toughest dudes in the country. And both of these guys are team-first players. And this is going to be a doozy. If you like college football, you have to appreciate both quarterbacks. So now let's get to overall. I want to start first with the Georgia offense against the Texas defense. So Georgia's best offensive player is their wide receiver, Zachariah Branch from USC. Nick, break it down. What are you looking for when Georgia has the ball on offense?
3rd down and turnover. Like you said, the last several weeks we have been more on a mission as far as performing better on the offensive side of the ball. That hasn't always been the case with the defensive side of the ball outside of that Kentucky game, outside of that Oklahoma game. So half of the games in this 4-game stretch, the defense has let it slide a little bit. Now, that Vanderbilt one, there was definitely some questionable calls, but there were some times where they were able to walk in the end zone, get time to throw. And we know Georgia is, if not the best, the second best second-half team in the nation. And we are going to have to play a full 4 quarters, especially being on the road. So that being said, this game is in Athens, right? We have to do exactly what they did to us in Austin last year is take the noise out of it. Take the fans out of it. Don't let them back into it and just smother them. Everyone thought that Texas was going to blow out Georgia last year. We didn't. We were confident. We thought we were going to win. We didn't think we were going to blow them out. So that is something that we certainly have to do is just take control, stop them on 3rd downs, score when you have the ball. Because we've seen 2 teams try this and fail this year. Tennessee blew that game.
Yeah.
Talk to a Georgia fan. They'll even say it like, we got away with one against Tennessee. Ole Miss, they blew that game. It's another one that you start looking at yourself and you go, I don't know, are these teams blowing it or is Georgia this damn good? Because you have to beat this team down. Even Auburn hung in there to the very end. It took everything that Alabama had to beat them. They had a slow second half. So
it did, yeah.
Offensively, what is Georgia going to be able to do? They're kind of a different team this year about their MO and everything. So it's going to be interesting about Colin Simmons, Anthony Hill. We get Taft back, right? It's going to be huge to be able to stop these guys on the road, silence them. This is probably one of the better defenses they've played all year, maybe outside of Alabama, maybe not. We might be the best one in their house, right? Bama beat them in their house as well. So maybe there's something that Sark can take from that formula and that we use. We have big people. Canoe has been balling out, right? You get Taftman back. So we'll see. It's going to be about those 3rd downs and not letting them convert and get those 3rd and 2s that we've now benefited from recently. So they can't get those and get short yards, get the crowd going into it and have a huge 3rd quarter swing.
I never thought I would say this, but Georgia this year is an offensive team. They're an offensive first.
It's weird to say that.
First team. Well, first of all, they have wide receivers that I actually could catch this year.
Last year.
It was horrible. Carson Beck wasn't great, but also he didn't have a lot of help. So
some of that was not him.
Exactly.
Right. Sure.
So the transfer that I told you, Zachariah Branch from USC, total game changer beast. Texas even kicked the tires on him. He's a good player. Noah Thomas, a big 6'6" wide receiver, transfer from A&M, who we saw last year. He's good. London Humphreys, transfer from Vanderbilt. He was Georgia last year, but he didn't play that much, but he's also a really good player. Georgia loves to use their tight ends. Lawson Lucky, he got injured.
Yeah.
He got a head injury against Mississippi State, but Kirby said that he should be ready to go against Texas. Oscar Delp, another beast. What about Elias Williams? They have a big 6'6", 260-pound freshman tight end that they've been now using more. Like, he's just a monster. He's a freak. So they have players on offense. I'll give you some stats from the last game. They had 567 total yards against Mississippi State, 303 rushing yards. Nate Frazier, their starting running back, had a really good game, but they used 4 running backs: Bowens, Frazier, Dwight Phillips, and Bo Jackson. So you're going to see 4 different running backs that Georgia's going to try to pound on Texas. So we need to sell out to stop the run, because that's the genesis of them getting into their play action game and opening up their offense, which could really establish the run. Since Mississippi State went on a 14-play, 75-yard drive to take a 7-0 lead last weekend, Georgia had 5 consecutive scoring plays. So this offense can click. Gunnar Stockton is accurate, and he does not take a lot of sacks. Their offensive line was gettable a little bit during the year because of injuries, but I still think we have an opportunity here, because on the right side of their offensive line, they're starting true freshmen. Two true freshmen. They're both man-childs. They're huge guys.
I'm sure they're massive and talented.
But I think Trey Moore and Colin Simmons can have their way against some of these true freshmen. Our pass rush is really going to need to show up. We're going to need to tackle. We're going to need to be disciplined. And then our secondary, we need to cover these wide receivers. I've said it for 3 weeks in a row. I do not like when our cornerbacks are 5 to 8 yards off their wide receivers. But the reason that they do that is PK likes to play a lot of zone defense. Well, we cannot play strictly zone against Georgia. We need to mix it up a little bit.
You got to mix it up for sure.
Man zone. I wouldn't be surprised if we played the 2 high safety cover 2 look, but also Georgia, the way to beat that is beating them through the middle. So then Georgia's just going to flank their tight ends to those middle routes and just completely beat us. So we need to have some exotic coverages and mix it up. PK needs to empty out the bag, and I want him to not wait until the second half of these games to start blitzing. He did that against Mississippi State. He did that against Vanderbilt. He needs to blitz from the beginning and put pressure on Gunnar Stockton
right away
and force turnovers. Nick, who do you think are the important players that need to step up on this defense? Give me some names.
I mean, it's going to be the marquee guys, but I'm going to go for one that's marquee and played a huge role in Red River. He hasn't been the most healthy, but I'm going Mr. Malik Muhammad, right? And we're starting to get more healthy in that secondary. This is what you got to remember is Muhammad was out for basically didn't really play much until that game, and came in with 2 massive interceptions. I think Littleton, I mean, it's just tapping back, I think, is huge on that back end. Maybe tightens up things a little bit. I just don't think it can be overstated how big this game is, how desperate they always play, but how desperate we actually are. And I think that's what got the kick in our ass that we needed to is, hey, we gotta win these games. We're 3-2 or 4-2. Like, come on, we got to keep going. And this is something I'm telling you, that Kentucky Mississippi State window where we almost blew it, and then we came back or we found a way to win. Got to make it happen. Georgia is the king at that. So is Alabama, right? They can do that. Traditionally, that's what they do. So got to figure out a way to take any sort of advantage. Just like when Texas beat Bama a few years ago, when Quinn came to Tuscaloosa and we beat them, right? After they came to Austin, they beat us. Like, beat them in every way. Now, I'm not saying it was a blowout, but like line of scrimmage, deep ball, running the ball. Like, you got to beat them in all phases. You can beat them. It happens, right? Georgia can lose. Bama can lose. We can lose at home, right? It happens. You just got to take advantage of those moments when they happen. Kirby is one of the best at that. So I think Muhammad Taft being back in that secondary is going to help slow things down a little bit. And maybe it's not as high scoring as we think, but it looks like our offense can be able to hang up as much it can hang. I don't even know how to feel anymore because I was so excited and pumped for the Ohio State game. And then it just was a boring game all over, right? It wasn't really offensive juggernaut. And I think even if we lose to Georgia, it's not going to be 14-7. I think there'll be a little more juice to it. And like we said, I feel like we said this at the beginning of the year where we said, hey, even like this is going to be the worst of Ohio State and the worst of Texas all year. And Ohio State hasn't, not their fault, like hasn't really played anybody of higher stature. But hey, it's kind of true for the Texas side at least. Like, all right, starting to rack up the top 10 wins. So Muhammad, Taft, those are my two guys that hopefully can shore up the secondary. But this game is crazy, man. I can't wait till Saturday.
I cannot wait. It's only Tuesday as we're recording. We still have 3 more days. I will tell you my key is the secondary. We saw against Vanderbilt all the coverage busts, but this is a question we're not going to know the answer to. Was the reason for the coverage bust because we had to play some young guys because of all the injuries, or is it scheme? Well, that's still not an excuse because even if we have to play young guys, they still have to know what to do back there because you never know what's going to happen. But that kind of remedies it because Michael Tapp is a great communicator. He'll get everybody in the right spots at the right time.
My God.
I want to see also for a personnel perspective, Jalen Gilbo, the corner opposite of Malik Muhammad. Sark said last week in the bye-week press conference that our cornerbacks is wide open competition. I don't know if that's a good thing to admit going into Georgia, but will Jalen Gilbo play or will they play the true freshman Cade Phillips, who has long arms, but you know that Georgia's going to attack him because he is a true freshman. Going up on that, our defensive tackles need to gain penetration. They need to get off blocks. Can we stop Georgia's run with the lighter box? I don't know if we're going to load up the box, but if we could stop their running game with only a 3 or 4 man box, that's going to really help because then Georgia can't commit the resources needed to be able to effectively move the ball. I'm excited. I think Anthony Hill, Colin Simmons are going to continue to put their names on the map, and they're going to have big games. So now let's talk about the Texas offense against the Georgia defense. How this offense, Nick, has started to get some rhythm the last couple of weeks.
Turning it hot.
Will that continue in Athens?
I think so, like to a degree. And keep in mind, things have to go well. Probably have to get a little lucky. I would even say for Georgia, it's going to have to be a clean game. This is going to be a fist fight. I think this game will be closer to the SEC championship game battle than it will be when we just, like Sark has talked about, where we were just too ready, just too amped up. I think we'll calm down a little bit more for this one, and it's going to be a freaking battle. But I think relatively, yes. I don't think we score 40. I think, we'll get into predictions in a little bit. I think I'm more in the mid-20s. But I think we'll be able to move the ball, right? I mean, like you said, and you kind of talked about before, Georgia doesn't have a great defense this year. They're fine, right? And they've certainly played better probably over the last 2 or 3 weeks, but they are no game-wrecking crew, right? I mean, there's some defenses like Ohio State is certainly a better defense, right? And that was a long time ago. So it's just not in their DNA. Like we talked about Tennessee and Ole Miss kind of blowing it. Ole Miss was running down the field and able to score. They just kind of messed things up, putting in their star quarterback who's hurt, and then that freshman, Austin Simmons cutting it back.
I didn't get that.
Makes no sense. And then Tennessee, just fumbled. No defense. And that team I don't care about their record. They just not look the same since they collapsed against Georgia at home. So their defense is breakable for sure. I think we have the better defense. They probably have the better offense, more consistent. It's going to be a battle of who's stronger. I tend to think our defense is stronger than their offense is, but it's going to be a battle and points are going to be had from both sides, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout. The question is, and the question always is, just like with Oklahoma, talk about Oklahoma because whoever has this category wins the game, and it's going to be the line of scrimmage and rushing yards.
Exactly.
Whoever can dominate that, time of possession, picking up first downs, not even having to do 3rd and long, but let's keep it in 3rd and 5, even 3rd and 6, 3rd and 2, 4th and 1, 4th and 3. Small numbers. And then every now and then, yeah, okay, we can do a 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, but we're not living in 3rd and long. If we do that to Georgia, they can still beat us, no doubt. They're very talented, but it's going to make it more and more difficult. Just like it was hard for us when it was in Austin. That's where we were living with Quinn and Arch. We were 3rd and 10. We couldn't get any sort of rhythm going at all and just did not play well until it was way too late. So I think we'll be ready, just like Sark said in the past, where, because they manhandled us in that first matchup until we kind of got back into it, made it look a little prettier. But he said, like, we were too amped. We were too ready to go. And then you could tell the difference in that SEC championship game. We were like, all right, let's go. And then for some reason we kind of lost that momentum. But I think we're going to be come to play. And I think we'll have some success on their defense. How much can they have success on our defense? I kind of like us better in that matchup, but it's going to be a freaking battle both ways.
It's going to be awesome. So
both teams are going to win. Both teams are going to have their wins and losses throughout the game.
I think that's true. There's going to be ups and downs throughout the game. It just matter of how you respond to that to determine who's going to win. I have some stats for you that back up Nick's point about the Georgia defense not being the same. Albeit some of these stats are a week old. This was before they played Mississippi State, just for context, okay? Georgia ranks 132nd out of 136 teams with 8 sacks this season. Again, they got 3 sacks against Mississippi State, so they have 11 for the year, okay?
But that's not going to put them in the top 10. They're still in the same range.
Georgia ranks 135th out of 136 teams with only 29 tackles for loss.
Ooh. Wow, really? That's crazy.
Out of Georgia's 8 sacks, again, this is before Mississippi State, ladies and gentlemen, 6 out of their 8 sacks before the Mississippi State game came from their linebackers, not even their defensive tackles. They're a linebacker-focused defense.
Which is the second level.
Yes.
Which means that that's not good. You don't really want your linebackers leading tackles unless they're getting sacks.
But then now, Georgia still has a top 25 scoring defense. They still only allowed 19.6 points per game after I read you. So they're a bend but don't break defense.
Can we break them?
They do not have the first round picks on the defensive line because they lost Michael Williams and then Jalen Walker, who plays for Nick's favorite team, the Atlanta Falcons. Oh,
terrible.
He did have a good game last couple of games.
He did. He's been balling out. But Falcons are terrible.
But no, and then also Georgia lost their starting defensive lineman Jordan Hall a couple weeks ago for the season. I don't remember watching a Georgia game. I watched pretty much every single Georgia game this year where I'm like, they're not getting any pressure on the quarterback. The quarterback can just stand in the pocket, make a sandwich, do whatever. Their cornerbacks, Nick, are very leaky. Dalen Everett, who's been at Georgia for 3 years, he gets picked on. Ellis Robinson, another top to play, he gets picked on. Their safeties. I was praising KJ Bolden to start the year, but even then, he's not had that great of a sophomore season. Jonel Aguero, he's not as good at coverage, but he can really hit you. My point is, our wide receivers can have a day against this Georgia secondary if we can give Arch Manning time. Because the last time we praised our offensive line against a team that doesn't get a lot of pressure, well, Kentucky happened, Mississippi State happened. So don't let the stats against Georgia fool you. We still need to give Arch Manning protection, and these wide receivers can eat. I want Sark to be in his game plan. Just keep going with the short, quick screen passes.
Yeah.
And then go with the slant routes. Go with the curl routes.
And then go deep.
Yep, crossing routes.
And then feed Wisner.
Exactly. But I do not – usually I say start with the run. This game, I do not want us to even run the ball very much in the first quarter. We need to use the pass to open up the run because we tried to run last year against Georgia. What happened? We got absolutely stoned. Once we use the pass, Nick, we can spread Georgia out. We found a secret sauce for our offense.
Yeah.
11 personnel, which is 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 running back, where we spread the team out, and it makes it harder for them to defend. And then in the second half, that's when Wisner and Baxter eat. But we still need to run the ball enough where Georgia respects it. So I don't think our running backs are going to have a huge game per se, Weisner and Baxter, but I think this can be like an Emmett Mosley type of game. Like he can have a big game. Parker Livingstone making some clutch catches. Ryan Wingo getting yards after catch.
Yeah.
What about our tight ends? We need to use our tight ends a lot more because as good as Georgia linebackers are, Jack Andrews can beat these guys in one-on-one matchups. So but again, Arch Manning needs to have time. We're not going to be last year. Quinn Ewers in the offense was just overwhelmed by the speed of the Georgia defense, and you could see it in the first half. This year, we will not be overwhelmed. We'll know what to expect because we played a really good Florida defensive line. We played a really good Oklahoma defensive line. Ohio State defensive line. So I'm looking for us to start with the pass, end with the run, but also have balance. Who do you think? I know you wanted to make a point, but who are you looking to perform on offense?
My point was just going to be just to talk about the kicking game for just a second, just because like last year we lose that brutal one, not the blowout. I know we kind of came back, but we got manhandled. But the one in the SEC championship game where we lose, I think, like 3 points, something like that in overtime. Which but like having some sort of kicking game that has been shored up this year would be huge. In a game that can be tight, and I'll give my score in a few minutes, and I know you will too, that means everything, right? A 10-0 game instead of a 7-0 game because you miss a field goal that's 45 yards, and now they have the ball. It means everything, especially with this team that's so hard to beat. And I don't think they're in our heads as much as they could be in a Tennessee head, where so they played. Well, that factors into it, right? Like you played all the time. And, maybe you have guys in the team that have never beaten Georgia. Like they've never seen it. Now, it's the same for us too, but it's only one time, right? Or one season, 2 losses, right? It's not like it's a rivalry where, we're playing them every year and it's been, 6 years in a row. It's like a whole graduating class that hasn't beaten them. We're a coaching staff that hasn't beaten them. So I don't think that's the thing where we have an advantage over a Tennessee or we have an Ole Miss where it's like, that's big brother. Like they're beating us. There's no big brother here. This is 2 big dogs that are going to be going head to head. As far as the offensive guys, it's got to be Money Man. It's got to be Manning. Money Man Manning.
Hey, I like that.
He's going to ball out. He's balled out in big games. He balled out against Oklahoma. People are going to poo-poo that, but he did exactly what he had to do, right? $160, no turnovers, took care of the ball, made every right throw, no bad throws. Perfect. That's all you need. If that's what we do, that's all we need, right? Vanderbilt did everything that we asked him to. Mississippi State turned it on. That's when the pressure really wasn't there for him. Kentucky was a bit of a sloppy game, but again, they were in his freaking lap the entire time. The other guy I'm going to give you is going to be Trey Wisner. I just feel like he is the beat to our team sometimes, and whenever he has a good game or he's popping off in that first quarter, like when we watched that OU game, I was like, okay, I feel better. Like my heart is like more at ease because he's breaking through. He's wearing the big chain and stuff. So I think those 2 guys are going to be huge. I would like to see Arch run the ball. This kid played in this game. He's pissed off, right? He got recruited by Georgia, right? He said that he even got asked about it. He's like, look, they were one of the teams I was considering for a long time. Down to the end, I think Alabama was in the mix. Obviously, Texas was in the mix, and Texas didn't beat them. But this means something here. He knows some of those guys. They beat him. They tackled him last year, too. They sacked him. He was here in Austin. So it means a lot to him. I think he's going to show out. He doesn't show it, but I think he's going to show it, and he's going to do a little something. This game is on the road, though, so it's going to be interesting. But, hey, they beat us on the road last year, so it's not like it can't happen.
We need to return the favor. Let's return the favor.
And, we almost got them last year in the SEC championship game. I know we didn't, but that energy in that second one was like, why it hurt a lot more. But it was like, oh, okay, like we're here. Like we're going to punch you first. So the line right now is 6.5 points.
Which is a lot. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. But Texas is such a crazy year where it's like, you almost got to stop and go, hats off to the guys because, man, at one point we were losing to Florida, playing poorly, on the road for a month. And here we are, like you said, maybe we're in the top 10. We have a better resume than Notre Dame. We have a better resume than Oklahoma. We beat Oklahoma head-to-head. We have the head-to-head against A&M, which would be a tiebreaker against Notre Dame. So what a way to turn your ish around, right? Like not looking good, not looking pretty, everyone against you, and Texas is starting to sneak up and creep on you, and that's what Georgia doesn't like. Georgia likes to be the underdog. Now we're the underdog, right? So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. We have friends on both sides. It's all fun. It's all fun, but hopefully we come out on the right side on this one.
We will, and I am very excited. I think Wisner, who Nick was talking about, he plays his best against a big game in the big games.
Big man.
Big game Wisner. I think we made we start calling him that. And to your Arch point, literally one game that Georgia students painted "We Want Arch" on their bodies.
Yeah.
Stomachs. So it's a little something there. And Kirby's, I think Texas is in Kirby Smart's head. I sent Nick this tweet that said that Sark said on Monday's press conference that before Kirby Smart and Georgia played against Mississippi State, he actually texted Sark in the morning saying, hey, what you doing? And Sark responded like, I just did a workout, going to eat some breakfast and watch Georgia play. So Kirby Smart was thinking about Sark a little bit. And people say they're friends. I don't know if they're really friends or not, but hey, let's see.
I'm sure they're friendly.
Let's see what happens. Yeah. Kirby Smart's going to get those boys motivated. That is a Kirby Smart special.
He's very good at those.
He's really good at making the media believe, or making his team believe the media thinks he sucks, which I don't get it, but hey.
He's a mastermind. Saban did the same thing. Sark has a different way of approaching stuff like that. He doesn't really attack it that way. Les Miles is more, accusatory towards other people too, but he's kind of more in his own lane. Nothing really bothers me. I mean, when you're at Texas, Georgia, some of these schools, there's already a big deal. I think he's more like a Marcus Freeman type, where he's just like, we don't really need to worry about that. We'll just let the plane do its talking.
And I like that because Sark,
that's all we need. We don't need any gas in the.
Exactly.
There's already plenty of fun.
And you don't know how Sark's like. Maybe he's like that in the locker room, but we just get a subdued Sark.
In the media, he doesn't need to be.
Exactly. And on the field.
That's different.
But one last thing before we get to our predictions, I wanted to talk about is our offensive line. I think we finally found a combination that works.
Yeah, I hope so.
So Connor Robertson at center, Cole Hudson at left guard, Brandon Baker. So let's see what's going to happen, So and I think they've been playing a lot better. The Nick Brooks left guard experience didn't work. I think he's more of a tackle. But hopefully this offensive line can continue to gel and build off those performances. They need to be able to pass protect. They need to be able to communicate. No silly pre-snap penalties. Yeah. We need to be able to block them. Let's see if we can get some push on their big defensive tackles. Let's see if we can push them back a little bit. Bring the physicality to Georgia. Win the line of scrimmage, and it starts with the offensive line. All right, I think we've been waiting for this all show. It's officially time for predictions. So let's get your popcorn ready, ladies and gentlemen. I'll let Nick start first. Who will win, Texas or Georgia, and give me a score?
Well, it's going to be tight. My prediction is, and I just want to say this real quick, is at the beginning of the season, we both had us beating Ohio State and losing to Georgia.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Finishing 10-2. That's still in play, right? That's still in play. We'd obviously have to beat Arkansas and A&M, so we'll get to those later on. But I am going to say that we beat Georgia, right? I am saying we're going down to Athens. We beat them 26-21. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of fireworks, and there's going to be a lot of drives from both sides that are, stale. Maybe it's a punting, maybe it's a turnover, something like that. But my prediction is we kind of go up, and then they make a little run.
Ooh.
And then we have to punt, and it's, 2 minutes left or, 3 minutes left. And the fourth quarter defense, Texas Longhorns, makes a huge stand. Maybe I'm going to even go out there and say it's a Colin Simmons sack fumble. We recover. We get our get back, and we go back to Austin happy. So it's going to be a fist fight. No overtime this time. It's regulation. No blowouts. I don't think we cream them. I think it's going to be close. I think we kind of fight over who has control, kind of like the SEC championship game. And again, I keep referencing that one because that was the one that we played more recently and we played better in. So I'm hoping it's more like that. And then by the end of that first half, we took control.
Mm-hmm.
And we just were like, here you go, you can have it. So I don't think Sark's going to do that. You started to play with our food at the end of that game, and it cost us a championship. You should never do that. So I think we go in there and we win. I'm pretty confident, but God, these games are always nuts, and Georgia's always in it. So I think we get it done. This feels right. You know what I mean? Like the momentum is all over there, but we're playing our best. We're ranked 11th. We're 6.5 dogs, but we were number 1 in the country. So why can't we finish number 1? So
I like it.
Give me the upset, I guess, because they're 5th, 26-21 Longhorns.
It would be an upset because the Vegas has us at 6.5-point dogs.
3 top 10 wins.
Exactly. I can't hear the A&M fans out there.
Also, Sark is nothing like James Franklin because we already have more top 10 wins this season than he ever has. So that conversation is over.
Thank you. That needed to be said. I appreciate that. So my prediction, I think this is going to be a higher scoring game than people think. I'm going to Texas Longhorns 38-30. We're going to hang a 30-piece on the Georgia Bulldogs because, like I said earlier, the secondary is kind of suspect. They're they don't communicate. They've allowed so many big plays this year, and we have big play hunters. And Arch Manning can make all the throws. I still don't think we're going to be able to run the ball that well. I think we're going to have like 50 yards running the game. But we'll have close to 350 to 400 yards passing. I think we're going to carve up the secondary. Arch Manning is going to have 3 touchdowns.
Oh, my God.
This game, I believe we're going to remember Emmett Mosley for this game with the way he performed against Georgia. He may have like a 2 to 3 touchdown catch game. And when Emmett Mosley goes to the draft, these highlights are going to be him catching touchdown passes against the Georgia Bulldogs.
Don't forget what he did against Mississippi State. It could be that kind of situation where hell, maybe we're even going, we're tied. Maybe we're down 21-20. You know, a scenario like that, right? Throws it up to Emmett Mosley. We go for 2. We don't get it. You know, that's why I'm getting my 26-21, and then we have to make a huge stop. Either way, it's going to be a battle. I think that one in Austin last year where we, really got handed to us in that first half, I don't think it's going to be like that from either side. I think it's going to just come down to the end, and I think it's our turn. I think it's our turn for a little get back. They've gotten us 2 in a row. I think it's our turn to make it right.
It's our turn to make it right. I think our defense, Gunnar Stockton's going to have 1 interception. I think they may have a fumble.
That could be the difference. Yep.
They're going to force Georgia into a lot of 3rd and longs, which they're not comfortable with.
Yep.
We're going to get pass rush on Gunnar Stockton. This may be a game where Colin Simmons, hopefully they'll call a holding call, which is something they didn't do against Vanderbilt.
Well, that's the other thing is the referees aren't always
right.
They're pretty beneficial towards Georgia. So we'll see how that goes.
I hate to say it, but watching this year, the SEC refs have been always beneficial to the higher ranked teams from every single game. Like me and Nick were watching Georgia Auburn together, and we know what happened in that game. So
yeah, some of those are pretty questionable, and one of those guys is suspended for the rest of the year. So I don't want that. I mean, I don't know. I just want a clean game. I don't want any of that as an excuse. If anyone's going to be benefited, I would like it to be us. But
we can't expect those calls because we're going to be on the road.
We're going to be on the road in a hostile environment. So I'm hoping you call a bad one on Georgia, you call a bad one on you just try to keep it as close as possible. Maybe a 60-40. That's reasonable.
What's usually in these big calls,
it can be egregious. Like it can be like 80-20 or something egregious. But Texas usually gets the whistle because we're a big program too. So it's gonna be a fun one. It's gonna be fun one.
The refs weren't a problem in the Alabama-Georgia game, so I think it's gonna be the same.
Yeah, I think it'll be about that.
I think it's gonna be the same thing. And,
Georgia, Missouri, someone that they don't treat well, although they should because Missouri is always in the mix. So
I think, I'm excited. I think our defense is going to perform and have multiple turnovers. Our offense, we're going to beat them through the passing game. Arch Manning is going to continue to silence the haters. We're just going to have a balance. Sark is going to be in his bag. I think you may see 2023 Alabama play calling Sark and 2024 Michigan play calling Sark.
I hope so.
He is going to be ready. This team can feel the urgency. They know what's on the line. If we win out, we are in the playoffs. If we lose, we're going to have to get some help from some other teams.
Right. Everything's in front of us.
I think a team that understands that, Texas 30. Well, thank you so much for watching this episode of Touchdown Texas. We hope you enjoyed us breaking down this Georgia Texas game, top 5 matchup in Athens, Georgia. We talked about how the Texas offense is going to face against the defense, and then the defense is going to face against the Georgia offense. Our score predictions, both me and Nick had Texas winning. Nick 26-21 Texas, me 38-30 Texas. Be sure to follow us on our social media channels at touchdown_Texas. I will be live in Athens the entire day leading up to the game. So me and Nick are going to do a TikTok live from the scene of the crime, Athens, Georgia, kind of telling us how you're setting the stage up for a big doozy of a game. But again, everybody, thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Hook 'em.